This page is the front cover of a Nintendo 64 magazine featuring The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, as the main highlight, commemorating the subtitle decision and including a poster. It mentions features on Dr. Mario 64, a Smash Bros. First anniversary interview, and upcoming information on Donkey Kong 64, Super Mario RPG 2, Pokemon Gold and Silver, and Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. Also teased is new information on Biohazard Zero, which we know as Resident Evil Zero, internationally. This page is a Game Boy Color game called Grand Duel. Passionate adventure dungeon card battle. It features artwork of a young anime-style character holding a card, accompanied by a cute pink creature, facing a large, shadowy monster in a dungeon setting. The subtitle reads, Deep Dungeon's Secret Treasure. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game Grand Duel, Deep Dungeon, Treasure. It highlights the card battle gameplay, where strategy and tactics evolve the battles. The ad promotes duels with rivals to become stronger and dungeon exploration to collect cards, boasting around 800 card types in total. There's a campaign offering original goods as prizes, including a basic card battle set, a tour of bottom-up studios, and a travel set. The game is priced at 4,500 yen, excluding tax, and is currently on sale, compatible with both Game Boy Color and the original Game Boy. The next page is an advertisement for the Donkey Kong 64 Perfect Guidebook. The ad emphasizes that this is the 64Dream editorial supervision guide, promising detailed maps, fun columns, and a distinctive yellow cover. The guide is scheduled for release on January 22nd and priced at 950 yen, excluding tax. The ad also mentions it features complete course maps with CG visuals and easy-to-understand explanations, covering 201 golden bananas and 3,500 bananas. This page showcases the contents of Volume 42 of a gaming magazine. The contents page is broken down into sections such as General Features, which includes articles on Smash Bros. And Dr. Mario 64, New Game Information, highlighting games like Biohazard Zero, Resident Evil Zero, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 2000, Power Pros Baseball 2000, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Super Mario RPG 2, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Donkey Kong GB, and Metal Gear Ghost Babel. There's also sections for strategy information, information corner, and serialized planning, covering regular magazine features. The right side presents a game index listing game titles with scores and page numbers including Pilotwings 64, Ganbare Goemon, SimCity 64, Super Mario RPG 2, Star Twins Zelda, Majora's Mask Zelda, Oracle of Seasons and Ages, Top Gear Hyperbike, Top Gear Rally 2, Trick Border GP, Donkey Kong GB, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong 64, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2, Power Pro Kun Pocket 2, Picross NP Volume 6, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Kirby 64, Poppin' Music, BD Man Bakugaiden V, Final Megatune, Meta Mode, Metal Gear Ghost Babel, Mario. An image shows Link from Zelda, and the bottom features a game screenshot with in-game UI elements. The N64 software release calendar begins slowly in early 2000, with key releases like Pro Baseball and Kirby expected in March. Major news includes the official announcement of Biohazard Zero, Resident Evil Zero, the confirmed title Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2 with a release delay, and updates on Zelda no Densetsu DD and the future of 64DD titles. February's calendar includes Picross NP Volume 6 for Super Famicom, Top Gear Rally 2 for N64, and several Game Boy titles like Bidaman Bakugaiden V Final Megatune and Card Hero. The Coming Soon section features screenshots and release dates for games like Biohazard 2 and Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. 64DD software, including SimCity 64 and Mario Artist Talent Studio, is also scheduled for February. This page showcases the Dream ranking for N64 games, split into two categories: the top 20 most anticipated upcoming titles, and the top 10 best-selling current games. At the top of the anticipated games ranking, in first place is The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, followed by Donkey Kong 64 in second, and Mario Party 2 in third. Other notable games in the anticipated list include Star Fox 64, Mother 3, Super Mario RPG 2, Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, Fushigi no Dungeon, Furai no Shiren 2, and Perfect Dark. Further down the list are titles like SimCity 64, Fire Emblem 64, Mario Artist, Talent Studio, Akumaju Dracula, Mokushiroku Gaiden, Legend of Cornell, Castlevania, Legacy of Darkness, F-Zero X Expansion Kit, and various others, many of which were Japan exclusive. The best-selling games chart is topped by Donkey Kong 64, with Mario Party 2 in second place and Custom Robo at number 3. Super Smash Bros., Bomberman 64, Pokemon Stadium 2, Star Twins, Mario Kart 64, Mario Golf 64, and Super Robot Tyson 64 also feature in the top 10 selling games. The page includes small images of characters and gameplay from some of the games listed, like Majora's Mask, Donkey Kong 64, and Mario Party 2, to illustrate the rankings. The text provides context to the rankings, noting the strong anticipation for Zelda and the ongoing sales success of Donkey Kong 64 and other popular titles. This page presents 3 top game rankings from a Japanese gaming magazine. The first ranking is for games you play for a very long time, dominated by N64 titles. The top games are The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Super Smash Bros., and GoldenEye 007, also featuring Pokemon Red and Green, and Super Mario 64. An accompanying pie chart shows that N64 games accounted for 59% of playtime amongst readers, followed by Game Boy at 21%. The text highlights Zelda and N64 games for their depth and replayability, and Pokemon for its collection and trading elements. The second ranking is for games with good openings. Again, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Super Smash Bros. Top the list, followed by Star Fox 64 and Mario Party. The text discusses the importance of a captivating opening, even with the N64's cartridge limitations, mentioning Super Smash Bros. And Donkey Kong 64 as examples of games that deliver impressive introductions. Finally, there's a top 10 list of best-selling Game Boy games. Pokemon Gold and Silver are at the top, followed by Monster Rancher Battle Card GB and Game Boy Dragon Quest 1 and 2. The text mentions the strong sales of Pokemon Gold and Silver, particularly around New Year and school enrollment, and the general appeal of Game Boy software for its affordability and color screen. Other games listed include Yu-Gi-Oh!, Dark Duel Stories, Pokemon Pinball, Bomberman Max, Pokemon Trading Card Game, and Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. This page is a preview for Biohazard Zero, known internationally as Resident Evil Zero, for the Nintendo 64. The page highlights it as the newest title in the Biohazard series, exclusive to the N64. Screenshots show gameplay featuring characters resembling Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen in what appears to be a train setting. The text describes the game's survival horror genre and mentions it will be single-player and compatible with the Rumble Pack and Memory Expansion Pack. At the time of publication, the release date was still undecided. This page is dedicated to Biohazard Zero, known internationally as Resident Evil Zero. It's highlighted as series' biggest mystery and promises to unravel the story of the beginning. The page mentions that BH0 is chronologically the oldest story in the series. It references Raccoon City becoming a ruined state due to the evil virus, and positions the events around Raccoon City as the beginning of a series of virus incidents and the beginning story. The main character featured is Rebecca Chambers, described as a survivor of the mansion incident, which refers to the events of the first Resident Evil game. The page features screenshots from the game, one showing Rebecca in what appears to be a dining car or kitchen area, and another showing her standing over a dead body of a room service staff member, emphasizing the horror elements. The Resident Evil storyline begins in May 1998 with bizarre murders in Raccoon City, prompting the deployment of STARS. Following a timeline, the story unfolds July 23, 1998, or earlier. Bravo team investigates disappearances in the Arklay Mountains. July 24, 1998. Bravo team goes missing, leading to Alpha team's search and the mansion incident, where a virus transforms people into zombies. September 28, 1998. Resident Evil 2 shifts focus to Jill Valentine in Raccoon City. September 29, 1998. The virus engulfs Raccoon City, with Leon and Claire attempting to escape. Rebecca Chambers, a young but brilliant scientist and STARS member, is introduced. She is associated with Bravo team and plays a crucial role, eventually teaming up with Chris in the mansion. The narrative highlights her presence in Resident Evil Zero and her connection to Chris. This page is all about Biohazard Zero, known as Resident Evil Zero internationally, and is a preview of the game, focusing on several key aspects. The top section questions if the stage is a sleeper express, and discusses the setting resembling a sleeper express like the Orient Express, and how Rebecca and Bravo team are involved after a helicopter crash in the Arkwray Mountains. It mentions a mysterious man appearing in the game alongside Rebecca. The middle section asks, "Who is this mysterious man?" speculating on his identity, noting his resemblance to characters like Wesker and Carlos from Resident Evil 3, but suggesting he might be a completely new character, and mentions Rebecca is wearing a STARS uniform. The bottom section is titled, "Unprecedented System," and discusses the new gameplay systems in Biohazard Zero, highlighting that players will control more than one character, and this time it's Rebecca and the mysterious man. It compares the new system to Resident Evil 2, and how it's a new system not seen before in the Biohazard series. Screenshots throughout show in-game scenes with zombies and characters inside the train setting. This page is a preview for Biohazard 2, known internationally as Resident Evil 2. It highlights that the game is just 1 week away from release. The page details that the game features 2 main scenarios, Leon's scenario and Claire's scenario, which are interconnected and played in the same time frame. After clearing Leon's scenario, Claire's scenario becomes available, allowing players to experience the story from a different perspective and see what Claire was doing at the same time as Leon. Screenshots show gameplay scenes. Key characters introduced are Leon S. Kennedy, a rookie police officer; Ada Wong, described as a mysterious woman; Sherry Birkin, the daughter of an Umbrella researcher; and Claire Redfield, who is searching for her brother Chris. The game is listed as a survival horror title for 1 player, and compatible with the Vibration Pack and Memory Expansion Pack. The Japanese release date is stated as January 28, 2000, with a price of 7,800 yen. This preview focuses on the Nintendo 64 version of Resident Evil 2, where players must escape zombie-infested Raccoon City and battle Umbrella Corporation creatures. The game features various locations like the city area, police station, sewers/factory, and laboratory. New to the N64 version are EX files, documents expanding the Biohazard storyline, particularly connecting to Resident Evil 0 and future installments. Rebecca's report details the discovery of MP members and Billy Cohen's bodies, possibly linking to an incident before Resident Evil 1. Chris's report recounts Chris's ignored account of the mansion incident and his subsequent departure to Europe to investigate Umbrella, leaving Raccoon City vulnerable to the events of Resident Evil 2. This page is all about the GameCube Powerful Pro series of baseball games for the N64. It's titled, "To Everyone Who Loves Baseball," and focuses on the Real Powerful Pro, which seems to be the latest iteration for the year 2000, described as a Millennium baseball game. The text highlights that if you mention N64 in spring, this software comes to mind, and in 2000, Power Pro is back. They mentioned the Power Pro Kun Pocket series, and announced that new titles will be released simultaneously. The page details 2 key features: Success Mode changes, which is now Success as a Working Adult, implying a career mode where you play as a working adult, and Special Abilities Increase, indicating new and more individualized player abilities. Screenshots show in-game menus and gameplay. One section shows a company ID screen for the Success Mode, displaying player details like position, throwing/batting hand, form, and type. It asks, "Is this okay?" and presents yes or no options. Another screenshot shows in-game player stats and skills, highlighting various abilities and player names. It mentions Hawk's winning player's abilities and Dragon's new player, Fukudome player, showcasing different player types and skills in the game. The page emphasizes that player data is finely detailed, and that special abilities are increased, making players more unique. This page highlights the game GameCube Powerful Pro Yakyu 2000, which translates to Powerful Pro Baseball 2000, a baseball sports game by Konami, scheduled for release on March 23, priced at 7,800 yen. The page details the game's Arrange mode, emphasizing the evolution of customization options, allowing players to even adjust jersey numbers for teams and players. Screenshots showcase in-game baseball action and editing menus, demonstrating the depth of player and team customization. The page also includes game stats and information, and a small teaser at the bottom right corner points to the next page featuring Power Pro Kun Pocket 2. This page is focused on the Game Boy Color game Power Pro Kun Pocket 2. It highlights this title as a must-have for baseball fans on the GB. The page features screenshots showcasing different aspects of the game, including batting gameplay and field views. Key game modes mentioned are the popular Success mode, along with a VS mode for playing against others, The game details table provides information such as the title as Power Pro Pocket 2, tentative title, the publisher Konami, a release date of March 23rd, and a price of 4,500 yen, noting it's a sports game for one player with communication cable support. The text explains that this time, the success mode is set in the world of professional baseball, promising a variety of events and challenges for players to enjoy. This page highlights the connectivity between the Game Boy and Nintendo 64 versions of a baseball game, likely from the Power Pro Kun Pocket series, although the exact title isn't explicitly stated. It emphasizes that players developed in the Game Boy version can be transferred to the N64 game. The page shows various screenshots from the Game Boy game, depicting player creation, training, and gameplay events. It explains that training is crucial, requiring attention to stamina and motivation. Player stats and conditions, both mental and physical, are also displayed. The page showcases different in-game events and match scenarios, prompting excitement about what will unfold. The text hints at enjoying data exchange with friends and competing with your developed players in the N64 version. It mentions features like player abilities, special skills, items, and player conditions are tracked in the game. Screenshots demonstrate different gameplay moments and dialogues within the events. This page is a preview of Kirby 64. The Crystal Shards. It highlights the game's opening scene, which involves Kirby meeting fairies who are fleeing from a dark shadow and seeking his help with a crystal. The screenshots show gameplay of Kirby in various environments, including a peaceful town and a nighttime scene with dark shadowy enemies. The game information box details the title as 64, Hoshi no Kirby 64. The publisher as Nintendo, a planned March release date, a price of 6,800 yen, the genre as action, one player, and notes Rumble Pack compatibility. The text emphasizes the adventure, beginning with the fairies and crystals, and suggests a light-hearted and fun experience. This page is a preview of Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. The page asks, what kind of stages are there, and states that Kirby of Stars 64 is a lot of fun. It introduces the game's premise of collecting crystal shards after a disaster in Dreamland, and showcases various stages Kirby will explore. The first stage highlighted is Popstar, described as the starting point of Kirby's adventure, where players will learn various actions. Screenshots show different environments, including a tree, a forest with autumn leaves, a snowy castle-like area, and a woody interior with large holes. The text accompanying the forest stage mentions Kirby's unique floating actions, while the castle stage description notes the numerous enemies. The forest stage features Wispy Woods, a familiar enemy character, who seems powered up in this game. This page is about Kirby's copy abilities and how versatile they are. It looks at 3 abilities in detail: Spark, Bomb, and Ice. The page shows screenshots of Kirby using each ability, and explains what each ability does. For the Spark ability, it says you copy this ability and it can stun enemy characters. For the Bomb ability, it says you copy this ability and can use bomb attacks. For the Ice ability, it says you copy this ability and can freeze and defeat enemies. The page also mentions that in this game, you can mix 2 abilities together, which will be introduced on the next page, suggesting deeper gameplay by combining different powers. It encourages players to think about how to use single abilities or mixed abilities, depending on the situation. This page showcases the ability mixing feature in Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. It explains how combining different abilities can create powerful new attacks for Kirby. The page highlights 4 patterns of ability mixing, showing screenshots of gameplay with these combinations. For example, it mentions mixing stone and needle abilities to create a drill attack and combining 2 cutter abilities. The text describes how ability mixing can change Kirby's attack power and offers different strategies for using these combined abilities in various situations. This page announces the official title for the new Zelda game as The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. It highlights the game as the first decisive battle title and introduces a fearsome new boss character called Masked Jungle Warrior Odolwa. The page provides game information including the publisher as Nintendo, a release date of 2000, a price of 6,800 yen, the genre as 3D action RPG, and it being for one player. It also mentions it is for the Memory Expansion Pack and Rumble Pack compatible. The article discusses the impressive design of Odolwa, noting its huge size and intimidating presence. It mentions that the boss also wears a mask, raising questions about its meaning and the secrets revealed when boss masks are collected, hinting at opening paths in the adventure. The screenshots show gameplay featuring Link battling Odolwa. The text also describes Odolwa as a giant warrior covered in a mask with a giant sword and unpredictable movements that may be intimidating to opponents. This page is all about the Zora mask transformation in The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. It highlights Zora Link's unique abilities, especially his arm fins, which are used like knives on land, and his Zora guitar used underwater. The article mentions that while transformed as Zora Link, regular weapon attacks are disabled, and you'll be using items related to the Zora form for combat instead. The page touches on the story, confirming it takes place a few months after Ocarina of Time, and focuses on the Carnival of Time and the impending end of the world in just 3 days within the game. It points out that even though it's a new location, many characters will seem familiar from previous Zelda games, and the Carnival is a festival dedicated to the goddess of time. The article concludes by building excitement for the game's release, noting it's just around the corner. This page previews Super Mario RPG 2, which was the working title for what became the English release Paper Mario. The page highlights the action-packed adventure and emphasizes that while it is an RPG, it offers a free and enjoyable experience beyond traditional RPGs. Screenshots showcase various gameplay scenes including battles and exploration, and there's dialogue from characters including Bowser, who is plotting as usual against Mario and Peach. The game information box details the title as Super Mario RPG 2 Provisional. The publisher is Nintendo, with a scheduled release in 2000, priced at 6,800 yen, categorized as an RPG for one player, and noted as being compatible with the Rumblepuck. The overall tone is enthusiastic, conveying the fun atmosphere and accessibility of the game, making it appealing for players of all ages, and expressing anticipation for its release. This page showcases Itoi Shigesato's Bass Fishing No. 1 Definitive Edition, a fishing game for the N64. It highlights features aimed at both beginners and experienced players, with a help mode for newcomers and a more realistic advanced mode for veterans. The game boasts detailed tutorials and descriptions to learn fishing terminology, and offers a natural and beautiful fishing experience. The page mentions compatibility with the Suricon 64 fishing controller for enhanced gameplay. Screenshots show in-game views, including fishing gameplay and cartoon animal characters. It emphasizes the game's appeal to those seeking a realistic fishing simulation. This page is focused on Donkey Kong 64, showcasing the Hyoru Wood, or Day-Night Wood stage. It highlights how to enter this area using a barrel cannon entrance. The page mentions a giant mushroom tower within the stage that is 10 stories high, which players can climb. Inside the mushroom, there are weapon switches on the first floor that all Kongs can activate. The article also details using barrel cannons to reach higher floors inside the mushroom tower with Donkey Kong, flying with barrel jets as Diddy Kong, solving color mushroom puzzles as Lanky Kong, pressing Kong switches on the top floor as Chunky Kong, and using weapons to solve picture puzzles with Chunky Kong. Game details in a box state. The title is Donkey Kong 64, published by Nintendo and developed by Rare, currently on sale for 7,800 yen, including the Memory Expansion Pack. It is an action game for 14 players, requiring the Memory Expansion Pack and compatible with the Rumble Pack. This page is a walkthrough guide for various stages and challenges within Donkey Kong 64. It details how to get golden bananas in areas like the Water Wheel Hut, where each Kong can find one, but Chunky Kong is specifically needed to break a marked box. Another section describes protecting a caterpillar near Funky's shop from tomato enemies, requiring the use of Great Chunky to defeat them, and then moving the caterpillar's apple-marked house. There's also a ring challenge with an owl in the Hidden Leaf Dance Plaza, initiated by playing instruments on sound pads and using barrel jet. The guide further explains how to open a moon door near the Water Wheel Hut at night to find another golden banana. Finally, it provides boss fight tips for Dogadon in the Aztec Wind level, suggesting using TNT barrels to attack and Great Chunky's punches when Dogadon enlarges, while dodging fireballs. This page delves into Donkey Kong 64. It starts by describing DK Island, which is shaped like Donkey Kong's face, and the ear section is blocked by rocks. The text hints that these rocks can be destroyed with Chunky's punch. The Donkey's Ear section shows screenshots of gameplay inside a cave environment with crystals, and mentions that the walls inside can be destroyed by Chunky's punch. The next section is Inside the Crystal Building. It details how to use Diddy Kong and a barrel jet to reach the top of a dome-shaped building to collect a DK star. Sound pads will appear, and playing instruments on these pads allows entry into the building. Inside, there are golden bananas and a barrel jet puzzle, where you throw barrels in numerical order based on numbers written under the barrels, hinting at a sequence from 1 to 5. There's also mention of rotating maze passages. The final section is Inside the Big Lodge, located near Candy Shop. It describes a large 3-story lodge with 5 entrances. Inside, there are sound pads for Donkey, Diddy, Tiny, and Chunky. For the second floor, it mentions a gold banana in a room and suggests defeating all Kremlings in that room within the time limit. It also talks about using peanut and grape pop guns and orange crate traps to defeat enemies. Finally, it mentions using the barrel jet to light candles and control searchlights, suggesting stealth gameplay with Chunky. This page is about Donkey Kong 64 and provides gameplay tips for various sections within the Crystal Caves level. It details how to access the Crystal Caves by playing as Lanky Kong and using a Kong balloon to reach the castle entrance, noting there are 2 golden bananas hidden inside. The page then breaks down specific areas. Tiny Worm explains how to use Tiny Kong's Tiny Warp ability, learned from Funky, to enter small holes and get golden bananas. Banjo Awase Puzzle matching describes a puzzle in Candy's Shop Lodge where players must use sound pads and flip panels to match pictures within a time limit to obtain a golden banana. Bird. Gorilla Goon instructs players to learn the Gorilla Goon move from Cranky, then use it to break crystal walls with a punch in the stage entrance of Gorilla Goon to reveal a Kong pad and golden banana. Armadillo details the boss fight against Armadillo in Jungle Garden, explaining its attack patterns, including rolling attacks and firing missiles. The strategy is to dodge attacks and throw TNT barrels to defeat it, noting that running in small circles helps avoid missiles. This page is dedicated to Pokemon Gold and Silver. It shows a detailed map of the Johto region, described as the final adventure map for the Johto area. The page highlights that this is a complete map, and using Fly ability allows you to travel between towns. But Route 32 is mentioned as a location of interest. The map lists key locations by number. The page also asks if you have caught the Phantom Pokemon and features artwork of the legendary Pokemon Ho, Lugia, Suicune, Entei, and Raikou. It suggests these legendary Pokemon are hard to catch and recommends exploring grassy areas. A game information panel provides details for Pocket Monsters Gold and Silver, noting the publisher as Nintendo, the genre as RPG, player count as 1, communication via cable, and internal clock function. The price is listed as 3,800 yen. The next page is a guide focusing on areas within the Pokemon Gold and Silver games. It begins by discussing Suribachi Mountain, a dark mountain area where players need to use the move Flash to see and can use Surf. It highlights that the Pokemon Marill can be caught here, although it's a rare encounter. Moving on to Route 42, the guide explains that Surf is also necessary to navigate this route, and points out the presence of 3 headbutting trees. Route 43 is mentioned as accessible by passing through Suribachi Mountain or Route 42. The guide then shifts to Chowji Town, also known as Mahogany Town in English. It describes the town as a small mountain village where Team Rocket is causing trouble and are active near the lake. Next, it details the Team Rocket hideout located beneath a shop in Chowji Town, warning about traps and the need to battle Team Rocket members. Finally, the page discusses the Lake of Rage, a famous spot known for catching Pokemon. It mentions the large number of Gyarados and the rare red Gyarados found in the lake. This page is a guide for the Ice Gym in Pokemon Gold and Silver, detailing the slippery ice puzzle and the trainers you'll face before battling Gym Leader Yanagi. Price. It lists the 5 trainers in the gym and their trainer classes and names. The page also covers the Radio Tower event, explaining that after defeating Team Rocket, they've taken over the Radio Tower in Kogain City, Goldenrod City, and you need to go there via the underground passage to stop them. Route 44 is described as having only 1 patch of tall grass, advising players to catch wild Pokemon and battle trainers there before proceeding. The Ice Cave, Ice Path, is shown as another slippery ice area, suggesting using strength to push rocks and create pathways, and advising players to use repels to avoid wild Pokemon encounters. Finally, Fusube City, Blackthorn City, is introduced as the last town and location of the final gym leader, where the goal is to battle the gym leader. The page mentions a shop list in Fusube City and the Move Deleter NPC who can make Pokemon forget moves, including HM moves learned outside of battle. It mentions that Fusube City is the training ground for dragon-type trainers like Ibuki, Claire, and Wataru, Lance, and that dragon-type trainer battles await there. This page is about progressing through the latter stages of Pokemon Gold and Silver. It focuses on the dragon-type gym leader, Ibuki, Claire in English, and her gym, Ryu no Ana, Dragon's Den, as well as routes 45 and 46 and the Dark Cave. The page details Ibuki's Pokemon team, including Hakuryu, Dragonair, and Kingdra, emphasizing the need for Ice Beam and high-level Pokemon to defeat her. It lists the trainers you will battle in the gym before facing Ibuki, including elite trainers Masaru, Tomohiko, Tomoe, Tetsuro, and Mariko. It also mentions that after defeating Ibuki, you still need to pass a test in the Dragon's Den by using Surf and Whirlpool to proceed. The guide then covers how to reach the Dark Cave from Route 45, and notes it's the only entrance from that direction, suggesting a good item might be found there. Finally, the page discusses Route 46, leading back to Wakaba Town, and suggests visiting your mother to save money after passing through this area. It highlights that after Route 46, you can reach Sekii Plateau, Indigo Plateau, and challenge the Pokemon League in the Kanto region, marking the start of a new adventure in a familiar location for players of previous Pokemon games. This page highlights Pokemon and the concept of hidden machines, or HMs, which are moves that can be used outside of battle. The page features a list of HMs with their names, effects in the game world, and where to find them. It also discusses Pokemon evolution, showing evolution lines and the levels at which Pokemon evolve for several species like Chikorita, Cyndaquil, Totodile, Hoppip, Sunkern, Wooper, Eevee, Houndour, Mareep, Natu, and Spinarak. Finally, the page introduces new Pokemon with descriptions and images, including Piloswine, Swinub, Skarmory, and Girafarig, showcasing the new generation of Pokemon in what is likely related to Pokemon Gold and Silver. The next page showcases a collection of adorable Pokemon. Kingdra is mentioned as being a powerful Pokemon to catch, especially in the Year of the Dragon. Granbull's intimidating mouth is highlighted, but there's another aspect to it too. Crobat is praised for both its name and appearance as an evolved form of a certain Pokemon. Komazu, which is Gligar, is described as cute, with notable nose and ears. Chinchou is questioned about living in the sea given its anglerfish nature, with a remark about its peculiar eyes. Natu is discussed in relation to flying and potentially learning Sky Attack. Natuo, seemingly a larger Natu, is noted to have a similar name to Natu, but is still considered cool. Ubi, which is Slugma, has bumpy features on its head that are distinctive, and it's questioned if it's a fire type. Algar, or Houndour, is called smart and cool, with a query about whether it has been caught. Marill is speculated to be an evolved form of a certain Pokemon. Dantine is likened to a large ray, and confirmed to live in the sea. Finally, Lantern is described with a shining protrusion from its head, also questioned as a sea-dwelling Pokemon. This page focuses on Donkey Kong GB, Dinky Kong, and Dixie Kong, known internationally as Donkey Kong Land 2 on the Game Boy Color. It showcases the game's premise, introducing the story of searching for the legendary Lost World, and the collaboration between Donkey Kong, Dixie Kong, and Dinky Kong. The page details the unique abilities of Dinky Kong, who uses rolling attacks, and Dixie Kong, famous for her ponytail helicopter spin, highlighting their distinct gameplay styles. It also introduces key gameplay elements such as coins and items. Collecting 100 bananas grants an extra life, and finding the letters K-O-N-G also earns an extra life. Bonus coins and DK coins are featured as collectibles. The page further describes animal friends who can assist players, shown with a barrel containing an animal friend illustration. Enemy characters like the swordfish Kajiki no Engard, Engard the swordfish, the parrot Omu no Scoops, Squawks the parrot, the spider Kumo no Skitter, Squitter the spider, and the elephant Zono Iri, Ellie the elephant, are also showcased with brief descriptions of their abilities and roles in the game. This guide summarizes the Donkey Kong Land strategy for two areas, Cotton Top Cape and Kremling Highway. Cotton Top Cape features 6 stages, with varied challenges like underwater sections, complex platforming, and lift navigation, culminating in a fight against Barbos, a boss defeated by jumping on his head after dodging his spit attacks, using Engarde. Kremling Highway also features 6 stages, including Labyrinthine Forest, water stages, and cart riding levels, ending with a battle against Bleak, a snow monster who throws barrels. Defeat Bleak by catching and throwing barrels back at him from the hut's roof. This page focuses on The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons, referred to here as The Legend of Zelda, Mysterious Tree Fruit Power Chapter. It highlights the game's blend of fresh puzzle designs and classic, nostalgic Zelda gameplay elements. A new item called the Achichi Newt is introduced, which can be used to attack enemies or solve puzzles by lighting torches. The page explains puzzle mechanics involving moving blocks to uncover hidden stairs and rotating doors within dungeons, showcasing typical Zelda-style challenges. Screenshots depict Link in dungeon environments and utilizing the Achichi Nut. Game details specify the title as The Legend of Zelda, Mysterious Tree Fruit Power Chapter. The developer as Nintendo. A Spring 2000 release. A price of 3,800 yen. Genre Action RPG, 1 player, and compatibility with Game Boy Color. The article also features IMPA and provides a glimpse of dungeon gameplay through screenshots. This page previews Metal Gear Ghost Babel for the Game Boy Color. It details the storyline, which involves Solid Snake being called back into action after a rogue army group seizes a nuclear-equipped Metal Gear. The game is set in the Fortress of Galad, where Snake must infiltrate and destroy the Metal Gear. The page introduces key characters like Chris Jenner, a Delta Force survivor who aids Snake, and Campbell, Snake's former commander. It highlights gameplay features such as VR training, offering 180 training stages based on the previous Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation, and VS Battle Mode, utilizing a communication cable for competitive play to collect data disks. Screenshots show in-game action and character dialogue, showcasing the top-down perspective and stealth gameplay. The enemy group Black Chamber is also mentioned as an antagonist. The game is a tactical espionage action game for 1 player, and is compatible with the Game Boy Color and communication cables, with a planned simultaneous worldwide release in spring 2000. This page is an article focusing on gameplay tips and strategies for the N64 game Star Twins, subtitled, Slightly Worrisome Little Secrets Special Feature. The article provides advice on combat, explaining how to use standard attacks, and encouraging players to aim and utilize the C button unit for movement while aiming to evade enemy attacks. It also details how to deal with enemies equipped with shields, suggesting players maneuver behind them and use machine gun fire for quick takedowns. The article further describes boss battles, highlighting that strategies can vary. It advises players to use jump and step movements to evade boss attacks and to time jumps effectively during boss fights. The game is described as a shooting adventure, released on December 1st and priced at 6,800 yen. It supports 14 players, Rumble Pack, and backup cartridge. The next page is a boss strategy guide for the N64 game Sin and Punishment, focusing on the boss, Tophet. The guide is divided into 2 phases. Phase 1 details how Tophet attacks with bats and shockwaves. It advises players to jump to avoid shockwaves and use the tri-launcher weapon to attack Tophet's teeth when they glow, emphasizing that machine guns are not very effective. Defeating the teeth will break the barrier and advance to Phase 2. Phase 2 describes how Tophet attacks with shockwaves from its horns. It highlights the need for precise aiming to destroy the horns, and warns that after destroying the horns, the attack pattern changes to electrical attacks. The guide suggests focusing attacks on Tophet's face if players struggle with the electrical attacks. The page concludes by mentioning that ammo for the tri-launcher is scarce in the Tophet Star stage, so players should use strong weapons efficiently but avoid reckless fighting. This page is a boss strategy guide for Eschaborn, known internationally as Star Soldier, Vanishing Earth. The guide focuses on the boss battle within the giant creature found inside the volcano stage. The first phase strategy involves targeting the boss's scythe-like arms, referred to as Kama, using the rifle. The guide mentions that the Kama will glow, indicating the target, and successfully hitting it will make it destructible in 1 shot. The second phase strategy shifts to targeting the boss's head. It recommends using the machine gun and JF pistol, focusing fire on the head. Players need to be aware of the boss's attacks, which include shots from the mouth and missiles from behind the Kalama. The guide advises using jump to evade attacks, and suggests that after attacking, players should move forward to avoid the second shot. Defeating this Kamakiri boss is crucial to advance to the next area, the Mai Palace. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game Jet Force Gemini, specifically focusing on the Mazar's Palace level. It introduces Vela, one of the playable characters, and her special ability to swim underwater. The page details a mission called Floyd Mission, which starts when Vela boards Floyd's platform. The mission objective is to collect 3 power keys and insert them into the pyramid generator. The guide mentions that Zone 2 of Mizar's palace is entirely underwater and free of enemies, making it easier to explore. Completing the Floyd mission and gathering the power keys will lead to a direct confrontation with Mizar in a Super Showdown. The screenshots illustrate gameplay within Mizar's palace, including underwater sections and the pyramid structure. The next page is about the N64 game Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, King of Colosseum, a professional wrestling game released only in Japan. The top right panel details the game information, including the title, publisher Asmic Ace Entertainment, release date as January 28th, price of 6,980 yen, 256 megabytes plus backup save size, genre as sports, pro wrestling, player count from 1 to 4, controller pack and rumble pack support. The main section of the page is titled, "In Virtual Pro 2, you can play these kinds of matches." And it showcases 5 different match types available in the game, with screenshots and descriptions. First, the single match, described as the most basic 1 versus 1 match, suitable for playing against the CPU or another player. Next is the 3-way match, a mode for 3 players simultaneously, likened to a 3-person battle royal. Following this is the tag match, a team-based match with 2-person teams. The description highlights the importance of tag team coordination and strategic thinking, noting improvements in CPU partner AI compared to the previous game. The 4th mode is Battle Royal, where up to 40 wrestlers can participate. However, only 4 wrestlers are in the ring at any time, with eliminated wrestlers being replaced by new entrants. Finally, Elimination Match allows players to choose 5 wrestlers to form teams for team battles, with both tag team and 1 versus 1 elimination rules available. This page is focused on the N64 wrestling game, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, Udu Keishu. It emphasizes key gameplay elements to remember before a match. The page breaks down the core mechanics: strikes, which beat throws, throws, which beat defense, and defense, which beats strikes. In a rock-paper-scissors style, details the button inputs for strikes, throws, and defense, and mentions countering throws with well-timed button presses for a catch throw. Special moves are also highlighted, activated when your spirit gauge is full, requiring A button and 3D stick input. The page also touches upon different wrestling styles in the game, implying variations and unique special moves for each style. Furthermore, it points out 3 major improvements from the previous game: more wrestlers appearing with their real names, a significantly expanded edit mode, and the introduction of a spirit gauge that impacts gameplay. Finally, it teases the appearance of hidden wrestlers in the game. The page also shows screenshots of gameplay and the character edit mode. The next page focuses on 2 racing games. Firstly, it introduces Top Gear Rally 2, explaining rally racing and its game representation, with special stages, SS, for timed races, and road sections for travel between stages under time limits. It highlights the importance of the co-pilot in giving instructions. The game features Subaru Impreza and Midnight Talon teams, with stats like horsepower, handling, and top speed. Japanese car manufacturers, such as Toyota, Subaru, and Mitsubishi, with models like Corolla, Impreza, Preza, and Lancer, are featured in the game. Secondly, the page previews Top Gear Hyperbike, a game offering both on-road and off-road motorbike experiences, including a trick attack mode. Game details list the title as Top Gear Hyperbike, published by Kemco, with a planned March release at a price of 6,980 yen. It requires 128 MB of memory and supports 14 players in race genre. Controller pack, rumble pack, and memory expansion pack compatibility is also mentioned. This page is an advertisement for the N64 game Gauntlet Legends. It highlights the action RPG elements of the game, stating it is a popular action RPG that is finally appearing on the N64. It mentions it supports 1 to 4 players and has a memory expansion pack. The advertisement showcases various screenshots, including character selection screens with characters like Wizard, Valkyrie, Warrior, and Archer, and in-game action shots showing multiple players fighting enemies and collecting treasure. The text emphasizes the thrilling pinch situation and warp gates to the next world. It promotes the fun of opening treasure chests and getting items, and encourages players to use the power of 4 people to blow away the enemies. It also mentions that by obtaining a key, new doors can be opened. The game's genre is action RPG. It supports 14 players, was released in March 2000, and costs 6,800 yen. It also supports controller pack and vibration pack. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game Super Bombless DX. It advertises 100 puzzle stages and explosive gameplay, highlighting the game's compatibility with the Game Boy Color. The game is said to feature Decabomb explosions and challenging puzzles. It also mentions cute characters appearing in the fight mode and encourages readers to join the Tetris Club. This page is showcasing special stickers, Volume 42, included with the magazine to celebrate the first anniversary of Smash Bros. There are stickers featuring scenes from the overseas versions of Smash Bros. Endings, alongside character stickers from the game including Luigi, Kirby, Donkey Kong, Link, Ness, Jigglypuff, Samus, Pikachu, Yoshi, Captain Falcon, Fox, and Mario. Additionally, there are very cute stickers from Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, and cassette top stickers for Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 and Biohazard 2, known internationally as Resident Evil 2. The page also highlights stickers showing scenes from Mario RPG 2 and Kirby 64. The next page is a layout with faint outlines of boxes and sections on a yellow background. It appears to be a design layout or a content page showing faint rectangular and circular outlines that suggest the arrangement of articles or features within the magazine. There's a grid-like structure of boxes at the bottom and a larger section at the top left, possibly indicating different content areas. The right edge has a textured strip, which could be a design element or the edge of the page. It gives the impression of a planned page layout, potentially for the contents or sections of the magazine. This page features reader letters and illustrations. The editor answers questions about early 2000 gaming, confirming Pokémon Silver as the first game played that year. Another question humorously addresses the late hours of game editors. A reader's concern about the N64's 2000 game lineup is eased by mentioning upcoming titles. The use of the microphone in Heisei Ganyan and Baseball is discussed, with the editor lamenting the lack of other microphone-compatible games. When asked which N64 game to save from an earthquake, the editor humorously chooses Mario Kart 64. Interviews with Miyamoto are confirmed to take place in Kyoto. The page concludes with several reader-submitted illustrations of various game characters and scenes, showcasing games like YMBAK, Perfect Dark, and Super Mario RPG. This page is from a fan club section of a magazine, focusing on N64 game software. The page highlights two games prominently: Fire Emblem, Thracia 776, and The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. Regarding Fire Emblem, Thracia 776, there's a preview of the upcoming character popularity poll results, including categories for Best Hero and Heroine, and even handmade prizes. A reader expresses their initial skepticism, admitting they usually prefer action games over strategy or RPGs, and initially thought Thracia would be a harem game due to its character designs, but ended up buying it anyway. In the Zelda section, it's officially announced that the next Zelda title is decided, referred to as a Gaiden or side story, linked to the previous Zelda game, Ocarina of Time. The new title focuses on the Mask of Majora, Majora's Mask. There's discussion about the title's meaning and anticipation for the game, with fan comments mentioning Dracula and Princess Zelda, and the expectation for Zelda's appearance in this new title. Fans are excited about the new Zelda game and its connection to Ocarina of Time and the mask concept, expecting it to be deeply engaging and fun to play. There are also fan comments and drawings related to other popular titles like Mario Kart, Star Fox, and general enthusiasm for Zelda and the N64. This magazine page previews upcoming N64 titles. Kirby 64. The Crystal Shards is being introduced with screenshots and fan art requests, hinting at a spring release. Regarding Mother 3, there's no new info, but readers are encouraged to submit fan art and speculate on the mysterious Doseisan character, possibly rendered in polygons. Pokemon Gold and Silver are highlighted, celebrating completed Pokédexes, and focusing on the difficulty of catching legendaries. Readers are asked about their progress, and future issues promise details on distributions and names. Trading is encouraged to complete collections. The Have You Caught All the Legendary Pokemon section features reader submissions. The Marugi Championship section focuses on Rakugi Kids, a less understood game, and invites readers to share their experiences with character customization and magic attacks within the Marugi genre. Instructions for mail submissions to the Game Software Fan Club are provided. This page is a manga side story titled Dream RUNKER Extra Story Volume 2, Little Desert Adventure with You. It seems to be a comic featuring characters resembling Mario and a piranha plant on a desert adventure. The story recap explains that, in Flower Village, where people and piranha plants live peacefully, a mysterious insect army and an old man attacked. The village elder sought help from King Koopa, and a boy named Light started a journey. The manga panels show them traveling, arriving at a castle, and encountering stone enemies that look like thwomps and dry bones from Mario games. It's a manga comic using Mario game elements in a desert adventure setting. This page is a manga comic strip featuring characters that appear to be from the Mario universe, possibly in an RPG setting. The comic tells a story where a young boy named Light from Flower Village arrives at Bowser's castle. He is seeking help from Bowser, who is referred to as the Great Demon King, because strange insects are attacking his village and eating the piranha flowers. Bowser is initially annoyed by Light's unexpected arrival and orders a Shy Guy to remove him. Light apologizes, explaining that he is naive and unfamiliar with the world because he comes from a remote desert village. The bottom of the page introduces the characters Light and Amos, describing Light as living in Flower Village with a piranha flower child, and Amos as a wandering warrior currently staying in Flower Village. This page is a comedic manga strip featuring characters resembling Bowser and Mario alongside Shy Guys, likely from the Mario universe. Bowser is initially depicted relaxing, but quickly shifts to commanding Shy Guys to load fire piranha plants and bullet bills onto a flying ship, indicating an attack. He expresses excitement about causing chaos, comparing it to playing the shoot-'em-up game Donpachi, and bizarrely requests sunglasses, parasols, and sunscreen for the operation. The scene then shifts to Flower Village, which is shown engulfed in flames, implying Bowser's attack. Villagers are shown fighting back, but an old man worries about how long the resistance can last. Despite the dire situation, a villager encourages others to persevere until the light returns. The strip humorously portrays Bowser's villainy and the villagers' desperate defense of their home in a style reminiscent of the Mario game world. This page is a manga comic strip. It shows a fantasy story with original characters battling enemies. In the first section, characters discuss their situation as they are under attack. In the second section, Mario and Luigi appear and seem to be observing the events unfolding, with Luigi expressing concern. In the final section, Mario and Luigi confront one of the original characters. The art style is manga, and it seems to be an original comic for the magazine rather than a game-specific promotion or review page. This page features an article titled, "Because Games Aren't Bad," which discusses the perception of video games in society around the year 2000. It talks about how games are often blamed for negative events and societal problems, referencing incidents in 1999 and expressing hope for the year 2000. The article mentions the media criticism of games, including examples from American magazines like Time and the E3 show, suggesting that blaming games is a common scapegoat. It also touches on the idea that societal issues are more complex than just blaming games, mentioning things like school problems and declining morals. The article also humorously mentions that Pokémon Gold and Silver were not allowed to be played in hospital intensive care units due to potential interference with medical equipment, acknowledging the bad influence in a lighthearted way. There are also sections for reader submissions, including a monthly portrait corner and a monthly present corner, as well as advice columns on magazine production and love. This page is a special edition called Dream Technique Hall of Fame Volume 1.5, a compilation of dream techniques for N64 games. It's a special issue for the first half of 1999, collecting dream techniques from readers for 22 titles, from late 1998 to the first half of 1999. It is described as an annual big collection, delivering the culmination of reader-submitted dream techniques. This edition is the brother version, and the next one will be the sister version, which is described as sweet, sweet, sweet. This magazine page advertises a special feature, Doriteku, the end of the century savior legend, providing secret techniques for N64 games released in the first half of 1999. The feature is advertised with artwork of Link from The Legend of Zelda. It references 4 past Doriteku's Palace supplements included in previous issues, dating back to February 1998. The contents list numerous N64 games, including Super Smash Bros., Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Star Wars Episode 1. Racer, with several Japanese exclusive titles also included. A comic strip at the bottom, featuring Mario, offers advice on carefully removing bound-in supplements from the magazine. The page itself is numbered 60. This guide reveals how to unlock the 4 hidden characters in Super Smash Bros. N64. Luigi, Ness, Captain Falcon, and Jigglypuff. Luigi is unlocked by clearing bonus 1 in the basic roster's practice mode and winning a challenger match. Ness requires completing 1P mode on normal or higher, with 3 or fewer stocks and no continues, leading to a challenger match. Captain Falcon is unlocked by finishing 1P mode within 20 minutes, followed by a challenger match. Jigglypuff appears after completing 1P mode on any difficulty and stock setting, triggering a challenger match. The guide also hints at hidden character skills, like Luigi's Fireball, Captain Falcon's Falcon Punch, and Jigglypuff's Sing. A minor secret regarding Samus and electric attacks is also mentioned. This page is all about Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64 and reveals some hidden features and gameplay tips. Firstly, to unlock the Retro Mushroom Kingdom stage, reminiscent of Super Mario Bros., you need to complete 1P mode with the initial 8 characters, and then play on every stage in VS mode. The page also details how to unlock the sound test and item switch options. For the sound test, you must clear bonus stages 1 and 2 in 1P mode with all 12 characters. To activate the item switch in the VS mode option screen, you simply need to play VS mode over 100 times. There are gameplay tips too, like how Ness can reflect projectiles by timing his smash attack just right when an enemy throws an item at him. Another tip covers Link, explaining how you can adjust the angle of his boomerang after throwing it by using the 3D stick. Finally, for viewing characters, in the opening demo or character select screen, holding the Z button and using the 3D stick lets you rotate and observe characters from different angles. And for Samus, pressing Z while charging her charge shot allows you to move around while still charging, and any subsequent charge will continue from where you left off. This guide provides tips for playing Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo 64. Players can use Link's boomerang to hit opponents through walls by copying his ability with Kirby. To escape Kirby's inhale, players should struggle inside his mouth. In Link's bonus game, a double jump and spin on the rotating platforms can cause a failure. Jigglypuff can stun opponents with a charged shield break, even at low damage. Kirby's stone transformation can be countered by grabbing and throwing him. Finally, Kirby can spit out inhaled opponents as stars by pressing A or R after inhaling with B, resulting in a powerful but short-range attack. This page focuses on hidden elements in 2 Nintendo 64 games, Puzzle Bobble 64 and Top Gear Overdrive. For Puzzle Bobble 64, it reveals the method to access the arcade back mode by inputting the button combination B plus left plus right plus B at the title screen. It also details how to unlock 3 hidden characters. De Run is unlocked by clearing single player on standard difficulty without using any continues. Papaya becomes available by defeating Papaya in Versus mode and then winning 7 consecutive Versus matches. Finally, Dark Drunk is unlocked by defeating Pitch and Chapu in Versus mode and winning 7 consecutive Versus matches. Screenshots accompany each character, showing them in action. The Top Gear Overdrive section explains how to unlock 3 hidden machines. By completing seasons 1 through 6 of Championship mode, and then finishing the final 8 races of the last season, which takes place in space, players can view the staff roll and unlock these cars. The page also describes how to increase Nitro in Championship mode by overtaking many opponents and finishing within the top 5, allowing Nitro to accumulate up to 100 units. Furthermore, it details how to get the Taco Scar by placing 4th or higher in all special season courses with a hidden machine, and then achieving 1st place in all special season courses using the Taco Scar to unlock Roba's car. Screenshots showcase the hidden cars, car selection screens, and the Auto Shop interface. This page is from a special brother version of a feature called Doriteku no Dendao. The main highlight is the game Snowboard Kids. It details how to unlock hidden courses, characters, and special boards. To unlock hidden courses, you must clear courses 1 by 1 up to course 10, and course 11 is Kachin Kochinland. There's a table showing how to unlock special boards by completing certain stages or defeating bosses. It explains how to perform a rocket start dash by pressing B right when Go appears at the start of a race. Hidden characters can be unlocked by defeating bosses such as Black Kojin, Dog Oyaji, and Teacher, by achieving over 300 points in the trick game. There's also a section on Wendy's Internet, which seems to be about accessing bonus content or features through in-game channels. Hidden cheat codes are also revealed, which can be entered at the title screen using button combinations like Z, B, C, and directional buttons to unlock all courses, characters, and boards, which is stated to be temporary as the effects are lost when the power is turned off. Finally, the page touches upon Pokemon Stadium 2, showing how to check a Pokemon's stats and cancel Pokemon selections during team setup. You can check Pokemon stats by holding the R trigger and pressing a button for the Pokemon, and cancel Pokemon selection using the L trigger. This page is about the N64 game Super Dimensional Niter Pro Baseball King 2 and introduces several tips and hidden features. Firstly, it explains how to use your created rival players in matches and how to reset all game data by pressing Start plus L plus Z simultaneously at the mode select screen. It also tells players how to speed up dialogue in creation mode by holding the L button. The page reveals 3 hidden elements: unlocking special gold and silver teams for open matches by winning 135 games in pennant mode, clearing all scenario mode scenarios, and increasing the types of pitches available for pitchers trained in growth mode. There's also a fun tip about creating a green character in creation mode by using Come Green as part of the name and choosing green skin color. Lastly, the page briefly touches on Life Game 64, mentioning that entering specific names during character creation will alter starting parameters like intelligence, stamina, sense, and morale, as well as starting money. It lists several names and their effects. For example, entering Chun Renji changes starting money randomly, while Kaya Putin sets all stats to 1 and slightly changes shop messages. Takara 64 and Microman set all stats to 999 and 500 respectively, with high starting money. Rikachan sets all stats to 10. Beal will result in either high stats and low money or low stats and high money. And Choco Q64 sets stats randomly from 1 to 100. The next page is a guide for the N64 game SD Hiryu no Ken Densetsu, a fighting game released only in Japan. This page details how to unlock hidden characters and medals within the game. 2 tables are present. The first outlines hidden characters, their original counterparts, the required playtime to unlock them, and the button command input needed. The second table lists the various medals available in the game and the conditions required to obtain them, mostly involving winning specific tournaments or defeating opponents with certain attack types a number of times in match mode. The guide explains that after meeting the requirements and winning, the earned medals can be viewed in the game's Zukan, or picture book. This page is all about Harvest Moon 64 and Turok 2, Seeds of Evil. For Harvest Moon 64, it details how to get recipes by giving specific items to villagers, and how to quickly max out Karen's affection by repeatedly talking to her while holding your dog in the bar. It also mentions a dog glitch involving the toilet. Another section explains how to get extra coins in the horse races. For Turok 2, Seeds of Evil, there's a secret mode introduction listing cheat codes and their effects, like Big Head Mode, Small Mode, Big Hand and Foot Mode, Stick Mode, Ink Pen Mode, and more, which alter the game's visuals and gameplay. This page is about the N64 game GQ Powerful Pro Yaku 6, focusing on tips and tricks within the game, specifically for unlocking hidden players in the Home Run Derby mode. It details 2 methods to get hidden players. The first unlocks a hidden player password after hitting 10 home runs in 1-player mode, and the second unlocks a group of 7 powerful hidden players by hitting 9 home runs in 3-player mode within a dome stadium, assuming all 16 success mode players are already unlocked. The page also reveals button input sequences for cheats, such as selecting any of the 6 success mode universities from the beginning and using local stadiums. Furthermore, it explains how to view professional player abilities and how to adjust the camera angle during Home Run Derby. Lastly, it describes a button combination to erase the SRAM content using the 2P controller. This page provides gameplay tips for 2 N64 games, Last Legion UX and Neon Genesis Evangelion. And Last Legion UX, hidden stages Wire Gauze and Metal Bombers are unlocked by collecting emblems in story mode. Hidden characters and weapons are unlocked by holding L plus R on the title screen and rotating the 3D stick. Character poses are changed by holding R and pressing Z on the machine select screen, and character colors can be altered by holding R and pressing C up on the character selection screen. For Neon Genesis Evangelion, mixed battle mode is accessed by clearing story mode on hard difficulty and entering a specific button combination. All action viewers are unlocked by entering a specific command during the BEC Section 3 opening demo. Other tips include accessing Mission 11 versus mode, skipping the AT field in Mission 12, ensuring a successful landing in Mission 5, and increasing the synchronization rate by using grab techniques and pressing the A button. Quote, "This page is focused on Mario Golf 64 and reveals hidden character information. It starts by detailing how to unlock Bowser by winning in character get mode. It then describes unlocking Donkey Kong by collecting 30 stars with ring shots in the Donkey Kong event mode. Maple is introduced as a female character who can be unlocked by collecting 50 birdie badges in tournament mode. The page also explains how to change character colors in the character select screen by pressing the C buttons, left, right, and down, and that Donkey and Koopa, Bowser, have color variations. Instructions are provided on how to play as a left-handed character by holding Z or pressing Z during character selection. Finally, it mentions how to play against COM characters in two-player mode by pressing R on the character select screen, and that the word COM will appear to show you are playing against the computer. The last section talks about the character getaway and retry feature, which lets you retry a hole from the beginning from the pause menu if you are not happy with your score and want to restart. This page highlights special features for two action games. Firstly, for Castlevania 64, officially known as Castlevania, it details special item bonuses. It outlines 3 secret items. In the Silent Forest stage, you can obtain an item by manipulating the second and third iron cages. In the Execution Tower stage, you can unlock Reinhardt's outfit by getting a key and opening an iron cage. Similarly, in the Magic Tower stage, you can acquire Carrie's costume in a location away from the goal. These costumes are accessed by holding the cross key and pressing select at the character selection screen after clearing the game. Secondly, for The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, it presents various gameplay tips. One tip describes Yabusame on horseback, where you can perform horseback archery after obtaining the Ocarina of Time and arrows. Another tip is about sky travel with the hookshot, demonstrating how to use the hookshot on Epona to reach distant locations. It also mentions remotely controlling Epona by calling her with the ocarina, then releasing the set button. The page further discusses encountering Tektites in the sky and how to deal with redeads to briefly immobilize them. The page concludes by encouraging players to explore the depths of Zelda, emphasizing the endless gameplay possibilities and hinting at future side stories, even suggesting content planned for the year 2000. This page provides tips and tricks for various N64 games. In Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, it explains how to enable two-player tournament mode using controller 1 and 3 and entering RRDUAL during name entry. One Guy Monster hints at finding food maps by examining walls. 64 Grand Sumo 2 unlocks hidden modes with a specific button sequence at the title screen. Hey You Pikachu features microphone tricks to manipulate the clock and summon flies. Banjo-Kazooie's Rusty Bucket Bay allows for extended underwater breath using the Kazooie flap jump. Finally, Getter Love! Super Love Party Game allows players to fast-forward CPU turns by holding the B button. This page is a preview for the next issue of the Dream Technique Hall of Fame special. The upcoming special will focus on hidden techniques for N64 games released in the second half of 1999. Games that will be featured include Super Smash Bros., Ogre Battle, and Donkey Kong 64, among other big titles. The next Dream Technique Hall of Fame will have a theme referred to as Older Brother's Wife version. This page is also marked as part of the March issue's Book in Book section. Lecture 33 of Desu Senen's Gorilla Can Understand N64 Classroom addresses media questions. It compares DVDs used by the GameCube, Dolphin, to CD-ROMs, noting DVD's larger capacity, 2.6 GB single layer, 5.2 GB dual layer, compared to CD-ROM's 650 MB. It also explains Dreamcast's GD-ROM, a proprietary format designed to prevent piracy, offering roughly 1 GB of storage via a dual-layer structure. The lecture speculates on the future of gaming media, predicting a shift towards smaller, higher-capacity formats. It suggests possibilities like GB-sized cartridges, new recording media, or large memory cards. The cost-effectiveness of discs is also discussed, and even the potential return of ROM-based media. The page also features a segment discussing reader mail, a Dr. Pepper gift, and stock investment updates. It encourages reader submissions of questions and puzzles. This page is an article titled, New Millennium Inauguration, Japanese Culture is Praised from America, discussing the rising popularity of Japanese culture in America, particularly focusing on video games. The author, Hiroko Nagami, a freelance creator based in Seattle, reflects on how Japanese culture is being received. The article points out that while Japanese TV and magazines might feature more violent or risque content, crime rates are lower in Japan, suggesting a different cultural tolerance. It mentions Chinpo Pokemon, likely a reference to a South Park parody, contrasting it with the widespread acceptance of Pokemon and Mario in America. It suggests that Nintendo, around 12 years prior to the article's writing during the Famicom era, was already carefully tailoring their content to appeal to American sensibilities and gain acceptance from parents and consumer groups. The article also touches upon the stricter regulations on expression in American media compared to Japan, with examples like Disney movies. It highlights the strong influence of women's liberation, feminist, and consumer groups in America, and contrasts this with a more ambiguous, fuzzy understanding of such concepts in Japan. The author observes that American citizens are raised with a stronger sense of national consciousness and awareness of the world, while Japanese people might be comparatively more focused on their own nation. Despite cultural differences, the article concludes that Japanese culture, especially in the gaming industry, is increasingly recognized and appreciated in America, with Nintendo being a prime example of this success. A Dream Impression article reviews upcoming and recently released Nintendo 64 games, focusing on Pokemon Gold and Silver and Star Twins. The Pokemon section favors the 2D art style of the Game Boy Color versions over the N64's 3D, praising the visual improvements and anime-like essence. Star Twins is introduced as a challenging shooting game, with intelligent enemies and strategic boss battles. The reviewer highlights its distinct gameplay, contrasting it with GoldenEye 007. A reader review praises Star Twins' American comic style, unique elements, humor, and emotionally engaging qualities. The overflowing impression section acknowledges the game's quirky and sometimes grotesque nature, but ultimately praises its quality, clever item placement, and balanced gameplay. Thus, a screenshot of the game is also included. This page is from the Reader's Letters section and presents 3 different opinions from N64 fans. The first letter discusses the use of bug exploits in games, specifically in The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. The writer disapproves of using these glitches, arguing it's unfair to players who play legitimately, and questions if gaming magazines should even publish such information. The second letter expresses a desire for more N64 games, even as the Nintendo Dolphin, GameCube, is on the horizon. The writer feels sad about the lack of new N64 releases, particularly after the delay of The Legend of Zelda, and wishes Nintendo would focus more on creating new software to fully utilize the N64's capabilities, instead of just pushing the new console. The third letter is about the Mario series and its role with new Nintendo hardware. The writer suggests that while many Mario games are being released, a new Mario game should be developed specifically for the upcoming Dolphin. They also ponder if always chasing new things is the right approach, suggesting that older good ideas shouldn't be forgotten. Using Yoshi's story as an example, they feel innovation is present, but elements from past games, like Baby Mario Rescue from Super Mario World, are missing. The writer concludes that Mario games are vital to showcase the power of new hardware, and suggests releasing Super Mario 642 for the N64 after the Dolphin's launch as a strong PR move, emphasizing Mario as a benchmark for hardware capability. The 64Dream Club reader feedback section highlights N64 owners' views. One reader criticizes Nintendo's perceived reliance on established franchises and predictable game design. Another details frustrations with the 64DD RANnet service, particularly the limited payment options and high price. A third reader acknowledges the childish perception of Nintendo characters while still intending to purchase their games. Other short submissions mention issues like missing out on Donkey Kong 64 at launch, enjoying Pokemon Gold and Custom Robo, and expressing their love of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. Some readers also express curiosity about the magazine's content and the age demographics of its readership. This page is from a retro section looking back at Famicom, NES, peripherals made by Nintendo. It highlights 3 main accessories: the Famicom Light Gun released in 1983, noting its use in games like Wild Gunman and Duck Hunt, and mentioning it as the first home console light gun from Nintendo. Next, it covers the Famicom Robot, ROB, from 1985, compatible with block set and gyro set games. Finally, it discusses the Famicom 3D System, a headset for 3D gaming on the Famicom that required dedicated software. In the bottom right, there's a section titled, "This Month I'm Buying This," recommending games to purchase in February, specifically Donkey Kong GB and Card Hero. It mentions Donkey Kong GB as being in color and easy to play, while Card Hero is noted as being more complex but rewarding for card battle fans. This page is a market survey of Akihabara game prices. The article discusses how game prices are generally dropping after the New Year's sales season, except for certain popular items. It notes that games like Donkey Kong 64 and Mario Party 2 have high stock and are expected to become cheaper, while sold-out games are unlikely to see price drops. There's a hardware price list showing the cost of various consoles, like the Nintendo 64 at 11,000 yen, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Pocket, Super Famicom Jr., AV Famicom, Dreamcast, PlayStation, WonderSwan, and Neo Geo Pocket Color. It mentions that black N64 consoles are cheaper, and clear versions are around 12,800 yen. The page also features extensive lists of Nintendo 64 games, with their general prices, Akihabara prices, and publishers. This is basically a price guide for N64 software available in Akihabara at the time. Finally, at the bottom, there's a section about a special DK64 set, which was a limited edition bundle sold in America. It included a yellow Donkey Kong 64 cartridge and a clear green console. The article mentions getting this set through an internet auction and details that it includes a USAC adapter and a step-down transformer for use in Japan, highlighting that the N64 itself is a standard Japanese model compatible with the 64DD and works perfectly. The writer expresses interest in this set being sold in Japan. This page is a Nintendo Power rewrite title list for Nintendo 64 games and also includes Super Famicom and Game Boy sections and sales calendars. The N64 section lists many games with details on capacity, SRAM, maker, and price. Notable titles include Super Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3, Super Metroid, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Dracula XX, Super Mario Collection, Rockman 7, Demon's Blazon, Kirby Bowl, Super Bomberman 3, Super Mario World, Wizardry 2, 2i and IV, Last Bible 2i, Fire Emblem games, Earthbound, Dragon Slayer games, Metal Max 2, Super Punch-Out, F-Zero, Pilot Wings 64, Tokimeki Memorial, Super Black Bass games, Derby Stallion, Super Famicom Wars, SimCity, and many puzzle and strategy titles. The SFC and GB sections list various titles for those platforms. The sales calendars detail release dates and titles for Super Famicom and Game Boy games in February, March, and April, including titles like Hyper Olympic in Nagano, Donkey Kong GB, FI World Grand Prix for Game Boy Color 2, Card Hero, Meta Mode, and Pocket Pro Baseball. The next page is an interview about Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64, celebrating its first anniversary and selling over 1.5 million copies. It highlights the game as Nintendo All-Star, Great Melee Smash Bros., and promotes Smash Bros. Secret Images. The page showcases character portraits including Mario, Link, Pikachu, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Yoshi, Jigglypuff, Captain Falcon, Fox, Samus, Ness, and Luigi. The interview is with Masahiro Sakurai, the director of the game, from HAL Laboratory. This page features an interview with Masahiro Sakurai from HAL Laboratory, who is the director of Smash Bros., Super Smash Bros. The interview discusses the development of Smash Bros. And its unexpected success, noting that it has been about a year since the game's release. Sakurai talks about how they responded to user feedback and questions directly via the internet, which was a novel approach at the time. He mentions that Smash Bros. Was initially seen as a difficult type of software to create a sequel for, but the positive reception, exceeding 1.5 million sales domestically, has changed this perception. The interview touches upon the target audience, which surprisingly ranged from young children to adults, and the team's efforts to make an official strategy guide, which Sakurai humorously notes he will have to sign many copies of. He also mentions the online guide available on Nintendo's website, expressing his hope that many Smash Bros. Players will find it useful. The page includes screenshots of the Smash Bros. Website and what appears to be Sakurai signing strategy guides. This page is an interview with Masahiro Sakurai discussing Super Smash Bros. The interview covers topics such as the game's development process, the reasons for its online service ending in January 21st, and the challenges of updating the website with user feedback and comments, which reached 141 pages. Sakurai mentions it took a year to produce the CD, referring to the game's soundtrack CD, which was released alongside the game for 3,500 yen. The interview touches upon the decision not to make a Super Smash Bros. 2 at that time, despite fan demand, due to character licensing and the difficulty of bringing together diverse game worlds like Mario and Kirby in one title. Sakurai describes Super Smash Bros. As a bad game, in a humorous way, referencing the complexity of its development. The interview also talks about travel for work purposes to locations like Kyoto and the time commitment involved. Screenshots show gameplay of Super Smash Bros., with Kirby battling against Link, showcasing the character sizes being adjusted in the game to make them fair despite size differences in their original games. The interview also mentions the initial concept of creating 8 original characters for a console fighting game, but the decision was made to use well-known characters to launch the Super Smash Bros. Series. This page is an interview titled Smash Brothers Talk, discussing the concept of winning and losing in Super Smash Bros. And the reasons behind the limited merchandise available for the game. The interviewer and Masahiro Sakurai discussed the initial concept of Smash Bros. As a versus fighting game king or polygon project before it became Super Smash Bros. Sakurai explains that while they use Nintendo characters, it involves various companies, making merchandise complicated due to character rights. He mentions that if they made Pokemon goods, for example, it would infringe on Pokemon Company rights. He jokes that fans should buy Pokemon dolls and Donkey Kong plushies separately and make them fight instead of waiting for official Smash Bros. Merchandise. He also mentions that the game itself was created using 3D tools, which was new to him at the time, and that it includes upper and lower attacks and smash attacks. The page includes screenshots from Super Smash Bros. Featuring Bowser. This page is a Masahiro Sakurai interview about Super Smash Bros. And the development process. Sakurai mentions wanting to create a game where winning or losing wasn't the main focus, emphasizing fun. The interview touches upon the game's origins, revealing that the initial concept was for a 4-player fighting game developed from a prototype called Kakuto Game Ryu, which translates to Fighting Game Dragon King. Screenshots of Kakuto Game Ryu are shown, featuring simple 2D graphics and characters fighting on a platform with a backdrop resembling Mount Fuji, noting that this background was viewable from HAL Laboratory. Sakurai also talks about the game's sound recording process, where around 30 staff members gathered in a conference room to record voice samples, including his own. He notes that the game allows background changes. He also mentions receiving fan letters after the game's ending was shown. Regarding gameplay, Sakurai states that in Super Smash Bros., even a single chance can be decisive. He emphasizes the importance of enjoying the game and not being overly focused on winning or losing, though acknowledging that most people still want to win. He explains the no contest option in Super Smash Bros., allowing players to end a match without declaring a winner or loser. The page also mentions that Kakuto Game Ryu was created around February 1997, and that the planning documents for it still exist. The Super Talk interview features Sakurai-san discussing game evaluation, arguing that numerical scores can misrepresent a game's appeal. He prefers conveying a game's unique charm directly to players. The text also details Sakurai-san's path into game development. He switched from vocational school to high school and was inspired by Sega's Game System Award, leading him to pursue game creation. His initial connection to HAL Laboratory was through the game Gall Force. The page concludes with a Director Soft catalog showcasing 4 games. These include Kirby's Dream Land, Game Boy 5.02M sales, Kirby's Adventure, Famicom 1.75M, Kirby Superstar, Super Famicom 1.43M, and the highly successful Super Smash Bros. Nintendo 64 4.74M, which was a key title for the N64 in 1999. This page features an interview with Masahiro Sakurai, discussing his thoughts on game development, specifically in relation to the Super Smash Bros. Series, referred to as Sumabura in Japanese. Sakurai mentions that he has been with the company for 10 years and has worked on 4 software titles during that time. He considers Sumabura as his most memorable and latest work. He reflects on the challenges of developing software for different hardware each time, and how this is approached at HAL Laboratory. Sakurai discusses the importance of user enjoyment as a primary condition when selecting games, even if it means potentially sacrificing higher sales. He also contrasts his game development philosophy with that of Mr. Miyamoto, highlighting differences in their approaches to game creation. He touches on the concept of games needing to be turning points and possessing compelling appeal, referencing Biohazard, Resident Evil, as an example. He mentions the importance of balancing quality and volume in game development, and the need for developers to take some risks with content. The page includes a screenshot of the Famicom Disk System game Gull Force Eternal Story, a side-scrolling shooter developed by HAL Laboratory. There is also a mention of Mother 2, Earthbound, in relation to photo gallery and posters. The interview touches upon the pressure of achieving million-seller status, but Sakurai emphasizes prioritizing user enjoyment and creating enjoyable games over solely focusing on sales figures. This page is an interview focusing on the development process, specifically regarding cutting content during the planning phase of game development, and the person interviewed is Sakurai. He mentions that making games alone is enjoyable, particularly the planning stage. He discusses how cutting planned content is painful, but necessary to maintain balance in a game, mentioning that even Miyamoto from Nintendo had to cut content from Mario 64. Sakurai is asked about the software completion time and if it felt rushed. He confirms they wrote a plan for the next game, but 40% of it was already cut. When asked about the specifics of the next game, he states it's still too early to share details. A presentation video was created, but it didn't include actual game footage. For Super Smash Bros., 4 plans were submitted, but only one was chosen. The interview touches on the international release of Super Smash Bros., noting its success in America under the title Super Smash Bros. Brothers, selling 1.9 million copies in Japan, and its upcoming European release including English, German, and French language options. There is a small screenshot of Helicopter Super Smash Bros. On the page. This page is an interview titled Smash Bros. Talk with Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Kirby and Super Smash Bros. Sakurai discusses his new game project, emphasizing that making games for new hardware is a core principle for him. He mentions that after finishing projects like Mother 3 and Kirby 64, he's moving on to the next project, and explains the development process and priorities. He touches upon the importance of user interface and controls in game design, stating that they are the most crucial aspects. The interview also mentions Dolphin, which is the codename for the GameCube, hinting at future hardware considerations. Towards the end, there is a mention of a health check. Below the interview is a prize giveaway section titled Sakurai-san Signed Item Present, offering signed items. The prizes include a Super Smash Bros. Secret Book Guidebook, a Kirby soft toy, Super Smash Bros. N64 software, and a HAL Laboratory catalog. The page lists the names of winners from a previous contest and details on how to apply for the current prize draw, mentioning the deadline is February 21st, 2000. To enter, readers need to send a postcard with their details and a message about what they like about Smash Bros. To the 64Dream editorial department. This page is from the N64 question box, featuring an interview with Hanbu Yoshihiro from Nintendo's Public Relations Department. The first question asks about the most popular software during the year-end sales season. Hanbu replies that Pokemon Gold and Silver were incredibly popular and selling very well, exceeding expectations, and even causing shortages in stores. He mentions that Mario Party 2 and Donkey Kong 64 for the N64 were also selling strongly, alongside Custom Robo. He highlights the difficulty in finding Mario Party 2 due to its high demand, and concludes that the year-end sales for games were a success. The second question is about the most popular color for the Game Boy Color. Hanbu explains that color choice is no longer the main factor, as the Game Boy Color itself is selling out regardless of color due to its overall popularity. He reiterates that the success of Pokemon Gold and Silver is a major driver for Game Boy Color sales, emphasizing that people are buying the GBC specifically to play these Pokemon games. He expresses hope that the N64 will experience a similar surge in popularity. The page also mentions that 2000 is expected to be a year where popular Nintendo characters like Kirby, Mario, and Link will be active. It also hints at the upcoming Game Boy Advance and Dolphin, GameCube, consoles. This Q&A covers several Nintendo 64 game-related topics. Production of Game Boy Color is limited due to a liquid crystal shortage, despite high demand. The first N64 software release of 2000 will be Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, expected in late March. Rare's Perfect Dark, starring Joanna Dark, is set for an April 11th American release and a May-June release in Japan. The sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, titled Banjo-Tooie, is in development with new screenshots available, and the game content will be identical across all versions. Mentioned in the text are several other notable N64 titles developed by Rare, including Jet Force Gemini, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Mother 3, Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, Super Smash Bros., Pokémon Stadium, Pokémon Snap, and Earthbound. This Q&A section discusses commercials and news for various Nintendo games. Regarding Zelda Gaiden, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask. The commercial wasn't ready, but a summer release was planned, along with a poster promotion. A commercial for Donkey Kong Country for Game Boy Color, broadcast since January 15th, was highlighted, featuring a fast food setting, and a Card Hero commercial was also mentioned. The Donkey Kong anime's broadcast accessibility in Kyoto was clarified. The anime, based on the American version but reworked for Japan, was popular and producing new episodes. Finally, Pokémon Gold and Silver sales had already surpassed 5 million units and were projected to reach 8 million, with European releases starting in October. The success continued with later releases in Korea and East Asia. This Q&A discusses various aspects of the Nintendo 64. The first question addresses the N64's color options, emphasizing their role in boosting sales during the peak year-end shopping season. Limited edition colors like Toys R Us Midnight Blue were mentioned. The next question explores the possibility of RPG Pokemon games on the N64, differentiating core Game Boy titles but highlighting 3D N64 games like Pokémon Stadium and Pokémon Snap. The Q&A then covers the delay of Paper Mario, known internationally, initially targeted for March 2000, and subsequently pushed to spring 2001 for a clearer schedule. Finally, the last question addresses game completion timelines, noting that games are often finished close to release, with a 2 to 3 month window typically required for manufacturing and promotional activities, including marketing campaigns like CM production. This page is a Q&A section where readers ask Nintendo questions. The first question is about the Pokémon World concept and its progress. Nintendo responds that they have discussed this before, mentioning an article in Kyoto Shimbun and 64Dream magazine. They are considering Pokémon World as a way to revitalize Kyoto, envisioning Pokémon as the second Disney character. Kyoto City is supportive, but finding suitable land is proving difficult. The second question asks about Panel de Pont 64. The questioner wants to know what's happening with it. Nintendo confirms they are indeed making it, with development being handled by Nintendo of America's Seattle branch, specifically NST. They mention that while Japanese release details are pending, screenshots will appear in the American Nintendo Power magazine, which will also feature a special on NST, and Panel de Pont 64 will be highlighted. The final question is regarding a baseball game featuring Sasaki in Major League Baseball. The question is whether such a game will be released. Nintendo replies that it would be challenging. They mention that Nintendo of America releases Ken Griffey Jr. games, but Japanese audiences may prefer games featuring Japanese baseball players. Konami's baseball games are popular in Japan, and Nintendo suggests that for the domestic market, Japanese baseball games might be more suitable. They acknowledge Sasaki's high profile after joining the Mariners, but consider that Japanese baseball might be a better fit for the Japanese market. This Q&A covers several Nintendo-related topics. A real-life custom Robo toy line is planned with Bandai, spurred by positive fan reception to the game's robot battles. A Mickey Mouse game, Mickey Adventure, was in development for the GameCube by Rareware, building on earlier versions planned for N64 and Game Boy Color. A Game Boy cartridge rewriting service launch is delayed due to the Taiwan earthquake and resulting semiconductor shortages. Nintendo expects a nationwide launch soon, and the GB memory cartridge is priced at 2,500 yen. Finally, the term light RPG refers to simple, engaging puzzle games like Tetris, emphasizing fun gameplay and shorter development cycles, echoing the trend towards light and short gaming experiences. This page is a Q&A section from a magazine. The first question is about Kirby's original name, revealing it was initially Twinkle Popo. This was changed to Kirby after discussions with the American side due to copyright concerns, and it was also inspired by the name of lawyer John Kirby. The reason for the name change to Kirby was related to cleaning appliances and the character's ability to suck things up. The second question is about how many Mario games there are in total. The answer mentions the Famicom Disk System game 3D Hot Rally, where Mario and Luigi appear as drivers, even though they aren't usually shown in-game, but are present on packaging and promotional materials. A list is provided of Mario games across various Nintendo consoles, including Famicom, Famicom Disk System, Game Boy, Super Famicom, Virtual Boy, and Nintendo 64, detailing the game titles, release dates, and Mario's role in each game. Some notable titles include Donkey Kong, Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros., Tennis, Dr. Mario, Super Mario Land, Super Mario World, Mario Kart 64, and Mario Party. This page is from the N64 question box section of the magazine and features 3 questions from readers answered by the magazine staff. The first question is about a love tester toy, asking if it was featured on a TV show. The response confirms they did play with the love tester on a TV program at the end of the year, mentioning it was for a Kansai TV show called Otakara CM Seizona Dai Sosaku SP. The love tester is described as measuring love compatibility. The second question is about why the Famicom disk system was not released in America. The answer explains that although there were plans to release it, by the time it was ready for the US market, ROM cartridges had become more cost-effective and easier to distribute. The text notes that games like The Legend of Zelda, originally on disk system in Japan, were released on cartridges in America. The third question from a parent inquires if Nintendo employees' children receive free game software. The answer clarifies that while employees' children don't get free games, they often participate in testing pre-release software as monitors. However, it's stated that this isn't really a significant benefit, as retail versions are easily available. This page is a news article looking ahead to Nintendo's movements in the year 2000. It highlights the upcoming release of an adapter in April that will connect the Game Boy Color to mobile phones, enabling communication features, with software from Nintendo, Konami, and Mobile 21 expected to launch simultaneously. There's also mention of a new Pocket Monster X, tentative, game from an Asahi Shimbun article that will utilize this adapter and be located at Nintendo's Kyoto data center. Looking further ahead to August, the article previews the release of the Game Boy Advance, noting the shift from home consoles to handhelds and emphasizing the GBA's powerful 32-bit CPU and high performance, promising more GBA software reveals soon. Finally, the article celebrates the Game Boy achieving over 100 million units shipped this spring, marking the 11th anniversary of the handheld's release. It notes strong global sales for the Game Boy Color and excellent sales for Pokémon Gold and Silver. The article also touches upon Nintendo's next-generation console, codenamed Dolphin, tentative, expected to be announced at E3, with possible competition from Sony's PS2, but Nintendo is aiming for high performance at a lower price. This page is packed with various news snippets. Firstly, there is an announcement of a cool plastic model kit, based on the popular N64 game Custom Robo, set to be released in January, and featuring the robots Ray and Flare. In the monthly News Reporter corner, a musical movie called Nabi no Koi is highlighted. There is also an advertisement for a new Pikachu-shaped carrying case from Mori Gang, designed for the Game Boy Color, priced at 1,000 yen. In a surprising turn of events, it's reported that Uri Geller, known for spoon-bending, is suing Nintendo, seemingly related to the Pokémon Kadabra, younger Shater. The magazine continues its series on the construction of Nintendo's new headquarters, with this part focusing on the exterior walls and the anticipated completion in autumn 2000. The topics section mentions that back issues of 64Dream magazine, specifically issues from number 59 to 64, are appearing on internet auctions, and it mentions that issue 32 was sold for 4,300 yen. Finally, there's a Christmas and New Year's greeting from the 64Dream editorial team, expressing thanks to readers and their hopes for the coming year. This page features several news snippets. One article discusses baseball player Kazuhiro Sasaki joining the Seattle Mariners and meeting with Nintendo president Hiroshi Yamauchi. There's also news about Konami's stock price surpassing Nintendo's due to the success of their games like Jurassic Park 3. Another article talks about a Pokemon World theme park being planned, inspired by a Yomiuri Shimbun article envisioning a scale similar to Tokyo Dome, allowing people to experience the world of Pokemon and catch Pokemon. There's also a notice about extending the deadline for LandNet DD First membership until the end of March 2000, highlighting it's an online service for the 64DD. A topics section discusses hidden messages found in 64DD games when certain cassettes are used, implying software was being made to interact with the 64DD and reveal secrets. Finally, a hot news segment introduces the latest screenshots from Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, mentioning it is being developed and showcased on Nintendo's Japanese homepage with enhanced graphics. The article states that Banjo can now be controlled as a playable character in the sequel. This magazine page recommends 2 N64 games. First, Resident Evil 2, Biohazard 2, is praised for its adjustable violence levels, playable characters, realistic movements, hidden content, impressive CG movies, and sound effects that enhance the survival horror experience. The N64 version includes lengthy cutscenes, demonstrating the console's capabilities. Second, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 is presented as the definitive N64 wrestling game, featuring numerous wrestlers, including 21 from All Japan Pro Wrestling, smooth animations, diverse moves, and various game modes. It includes an edit mode for wrestler customization. Finally, the page announces the second CESA Amateur Game Awards, seeking original, unreleased games from non-professional developers. Entries are due February 29, 2000, and must include documentation, sample ROMs, and a gameplay video. Winners will be announced at the Tokyo Game Show 2000 Spring. This page highlights 2 games. First, Picross NP Volume 6 for the Super Famicom Nintendo Power Service features 240 Picross puzzles, double the volume of previous versions. It includes Mario series characters and a special extra mode gift campaign where 30 people can win a prize by lottery. Secondly, it introduces Poppin' Music, provisional title, for the Game Boy Color, a popular arcade music game series coming to the handheld. It boasts over 20 songs, including popular arcade tracks and original GBC songs, and supports 2-player battles via communication cables. The game uses a 5-button line-style control and is designed for easy play, with various modes like Beginner, Normal, Excite, and Survival. This page previews 2 Game Boy Color RPG titles. The first game, CB Color Bidaman Bakugaiden V. Final Megatune, based on the anime series, is set to release in April 2000. It's a battle RPG where players control Bidacops and the protagonist, Tasuke Ban, traveling through time and space. Battles are turn-based, utilizing BDA armors, and strategic armor selection is key. A unique feature allows players to use TV or video remote controls with the Game Boy Color's infrared to get in-game items. The second game, CB Color Meta Mode, scheduled for February, is a character development RPG. In Meta Mode, monsters transform into tools to protect themselves, and only dedicated players can master it. Players begin as a Pan-P and can transform into about 90 different forms, both male and female, by defeating monsters and gaining experience to join the cool squad. The game boasts over 500 skills and offers cooperative play through cable connection. The page also includes a section asking, "What kind of person are you?" related to character selection in Meta Mode. This page previews 4 upcoming Game Boy Color titles. World Soccer 2000, provisional title, is a soccer game with realistic gameplay and multiple modes, featuring a massive roster of players. TRIC Border GP is a snowboarding game with simple controls, board game-inspired courses, and customizable characters with unique abilities, supporting communication battles. Taisen Sume Shogi 365 Sen is a shogi puzzle game with 365 problems for various skill levels, designed for quick play. Finally, Kawaii Hamster is a hamster-raising simulation game where players care for their hamsters, build bonds, and can even interact with friends' hamsters using a communication cable. This page is focused on the Game Boy Color game, Metaro Card Robot Battle. The page highlights that this is a card game version of the popular Metaro series, set in the same town as Metaro 2. It explains that in this game, you collect metal parts as cards and engage in card robot battles. Screenshots show gameplay, card battles, and town map screens. It details how you can combine metals and parts represented as cards to create powerful robots and combos. The page also shows examples of different cards, including Missile, Recovery, and Pursuit, explaining their effects and costs. It mentions that the game features a tutorial mode to help players understand the rules. The article stresses the strategic card-based combat and the depth of customization available through collecting and combining different cards. The bottom section shows a battle screen with cards and energy management, illustrating how battles are conducted using cards and tapping to activate them. This page is about the 64DD RANDNet service and its features. It highlights the main menu screen, showcasing options like news, help, and mail. The page details the 64DD Illustration Palace, mentioning that while not many illustrations were initially submitted, they are showcasing works from children under 10 years old with themes like giant anger. It also features screenshots of the email sending and receiving interface, which looks simple to use. Finally, it teases unique content available on RANDNet DD, specifically mentioning Mario Artist as a tool to create illustrations that can be sent to friends. It also mentions Derby Paradise Online, a horse racing game where you can participate and enjoy various activities beyond just receiving information. This Q&A addresses various aspects of the 64DD system. The Legend of Zelda 64DD is still planned, with release details forthcoming. Doshin the Giant remains a 64DD exclusive. The 64DD version of Dazemon DD offers expanded saving capabilities and N64 mouse compatibility. The system's official name is the Nintendo 64 Disk Drive. While a point system for the Get Mall is considered, it's not currently planned. Finally, a pen tablet accessory for Paint Studio is in development, with no release date yet. This page is a spotlight on new software for the 64DD add-on, primarily showcasing Paint Studio. It seems to be a guide for beginners to learn how to use the drawing software, demonstrating features like pencil tools and coloring. Screenshots feature a girl character being drawn to illustrate the process. Additionally, there's a section called Special Service, which highlights artwork by Nakani-sensei for Dream Drunker, another 64DD title also featured on this page. The next page introduces the Scenario Mode in SimCity 64, urging the player as mayor to take action. It details the Scenario Mode, where players tackle various urban challenges within a set time frame, highlighting that there are 5 initial scenarios to choose from, with more unlocking as you progress in the game. The page shows example scenarios with objectives and hints, like dealing with fires, and emphasizes the importance of disaster management and city reconstruction. It mentions that maps are pre-built and ready to go, but challenges will arise. The page also introduces a character called Dr. Wright, who seems to be an advisor. This page is a preview for the N64 game, Japan Pro Golf Tour 64. It highlights the game's focus on realistic Japanese golf courses and the participation of 144 professional tour players. The game offers various modes to enjoy, including match play for head-to-head competition, stroke play for 14 players across 18 holes, and a Prize King mode, where players aim to become the top prize money winner. The screenshots showcase in-game views of the golf courses, menus for selecting courses, and player profiles featuring real golfers like Masashi Ozaki and Shigeki Maruyama. The game promises detailed course recreation using high-precision data and even includes weather changes. It also boasts realistic player characters, with 20 of the 144 players being represented in polygon graphics. This 64DD software catalog highlights several upcoming games. Wall Street, a financial simulation, is mentioned first. Ultimate War, a strategy game from Seta, is slated for spring 2000. F-Zero X expansion kit, planned for April 2000 or later, allows course and machine creation. Giant Danshin Liberation Front, part of the Giant Danshin series, is due early summer 2000. Soundmaker, an unknown etc. game, is being worked on. DD Sequencer, a music performance system, is also listed. Mario Artist, Talent Studio, releasing in February 2000, enables character creation. Mario Artist. Polygon Studio, for April 2000 or later, focuses on 3D model creation. Finally, DTDD version, a card game with a mobile novel aspect for both the 64DD and Game Boy, is in development. The catalog ends by promising more 64DD software announcements. This page showcases reader-submitted artwork based on the theme of New Year. It's mentioned that this is a special Millennium issue for the year 2000, and this expanded 6-page feature is due to the many submissions received around the New Year theme. There are several drawings from different people, featuring characters like Mario, Yoshi, Pokemon, and characters from the Legend of Zelda series, all celebrating the New Year in various ways. Each artwork is accompanied by a short comment from the artist and their prefecture of origin. The next page is showcasing fan art submissions in the Mario Parent-Child Guard Corps and Illustration Fan Letter Corner section for the year 2000. There are numerous fan-created drawings featuring characters from popular games like Mario, including Mario and Luigi together in one image, Star Fox characters such as Fox, Zelda's Link and Princess Peach, Kirby, Pokemon, Fire Emblem characters, and characters from the dating sim game Get or Love. Fans have sent in their artwork as New Year's greetings, and there are also fan letters expressing their enjoyment of these Nintendo 64 titles and requesting more content, with one letter even mentioning wanting to know the ages of the development team members. This page displays fan art illustrations. Featured are pieces inspired by various games. Ring of the Fairy Tale Tree is represented by Maple-chan. The Super Smash Bros. Anniversary illustration includes characters like Link and Maple. Pokemon Gold and Silver version is showcased with Scizor and Suicune. Panel de Pawn, Tetris Attack, and Resident Evil fan art also appear. Legend of Corneille features a dragon, and The Legend of Zelda is depicted with Zelda characters. Art from Getter Love, QUUBE, and multiple Super Smash Bros. Pieces, including Link and Ness, are also present. Finally, illustrations based on Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, and a separate Ogre Battle piece, which includes Destin and Magunas, round out the collection, along with a first-time illustration of Link from Zelda and a blue-haired knight with a glowing sword. This page showcases fan art submissions from readers. At the top, there's a section called Marion Guardcore, featuring Zelda characters as a musical band. Other sections feature artwork based on various games. One drawing shows Pokemon characters Gold and Red, titled Kanto's Hero. Another features characters Nana and Olwen from Fire Emblem, mentioning F.E. There is a vibrant collage of Pokemon from Pokemon Gold and Silver. Other Zelda-themed artwork depicts Link and Puru, titled Linku and Mei Puru-chan. There's also an illustration titled Fairy Siblings, with two elf-like characters, and a party scene featuring animal characters, possibly from Animal Crossing. Below, a section titled Illustrations Under 10 Years Old displays children's drawings. These include artwork inspired by Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Mario Party, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Donkey Kong 64, and Jigglypuff. This illustration high-rise apartment building showcases fan art of various video games. The collection includes a Fire Emblem piece featuring Kian and Leaf, a Super Famicom-style illustration of Zelda and Link, a wintry Kirby 64 scene, humanized Star Fox 64 characters, and a Resident Evil/Scream crossover with Link. Bomberman 64, Pokemon, and another Zelda piece with Link and Saria are also present, as well as artwork for Legend of Corneille. Additional illustrations feature Mario Kart 64, Donkey Kong 64, and another Fire Emblem installment, Thracia 776. Smaller pieces feature characters from Goemon, Bakuretsu Muteki Bungayo, Robopon, a card battle theme, and Diddy Kong Racing. This page is showcasing fan-submitted content, specifically 4-panel manga and illustrations under the theme Mario Imperial Guards. There are several 4-coma manga strips featuring Mario and Luigi in humorous situations, with one strip making a joke about the stereotypical portrayal of them, and another about Luigi being scared at night. Another 4-coma appears to be about Zelda, referencing the Ocarina of Time, and making a joke about zombies and Biohazard, Resident Evil, feeling sorry for them. There's also a section for illustrations titled Cute Shapes, featuring fan art of Kirby and Yoshi, indicating more general Nintendo game fan art submissions. The page includes a call for illustration submissions for color illustrations and 4-coma manga, specifying dimensions and requirements, mentioning special squad members being rewarded with luxurious prizes. It also lists contributors who have been promoted in rank for this month, grouped into categories such as Officer School Graduation Determination, Officer School 3rd Year Advance, Officer School Enrollment Candidate, Special Duty Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major Candidate, Sergeant Major, Sergeant Major Candidate, Sergeant, and Corporal. These lists seem to recognize and categorize contributors based on their submissions and involvement. This page details secret modes in Biohazard 2, known internationally as Resident Evil 2, on the N64. It highlights 2 extra scenarios: the 4th Survivor and the Tofu Survivor. The 4th Survivor features Hunk, a UBCS member tasked with retrieving the G-Virus, who must escape hordes of monsters. This scenario unlocks by achieving an S rank in either the Leon Ura or Claire Ura scenarios. The Tofu Survivor is described as an even harder mode, where you play as Tofu, equipped only with a knife, and it unlocks by completing the Table of Contents route and achieving an S rank on the second Ura playthrough. Screenshots show gameplay from both scenarios, emphasizing the challenging, action-packed gameplay with limited resources in zombie-infested environments. The next page discusses Nightbug 2: Murder Route, a mystery-adventure game on the N64. It details branching scenarios and epilogues within the game. One scenario involves avoiding a character named Pandora and enjoying a rendezvous on an uninhabited island. Another scenario is about Pandora being possessed by a disease and becoming a murderer. The epilogue is set within Dynasty. The page also covers Mario Artist Paint Studio for the 64DD, focusing on using the pocket camera with the software. It mentions features like timer shooting, dark/light reversal, and brightness adjustments, explaining how to use the GB Pack and pocket camera to utilize these functionalities within the Paint Studio. This page features gameplay tips for various Nintendo 64 games. Starting with Doshin the Giant. There are two methods described to easily become a giant. Method 1 involves pulling out a specific tree in a certain location. Method 2 involves gathering heart gauges from humans. Next, for Custom Robo, the page explains how to use gene parts. It mentions completing scenario mode to unlock the option to use gene parts in arcade mode. Using these parts can make the game easier, even for challenging levels. Then, for Doshin the Giant again, there's a section about monument whispers, suggesting players listen to the monuments in the game to hear interesting things. Finally, another Doshin the Giant tip covers two-player control, explaining how to operate a giant with two controllers. In this mode, player 2 controls the giant while player 1 controls the viewpoint, making it a fun way to play together even if player 2's view is limited. This magazine page details dream techniques for N64 games. For Doshin the Giant, falling off the map leads to a game over. Mario Artist. Paint Studio has a hidden sneeze sound effect triggered by leaving the background music on. Donkey Kong 64 features banana peels in Donkey's house that cause slips. Custom Robo tips include achieving high-speed RoboCube rotation by pressing A and B and talking trophies in scenario mode. Losing repeatedly to the same opponent grants an energy reduction handicap in scenario mode. The page also includes a big recruitment game technique contest, offering prizes for submitted tricks, and provides postcard submission instructions. Included is a Resident Evil 2 tip. Completing Urashinario with X rank unlocks the Bond Survivor mode. A preview of upcoming N64 games for 2000 showcases several titles. Nintendo RPGs include Earthbound 64, Mother 3 Pig King's Demise, slated for May, and Super Mario RPG 2. Chunsoft/Nintendo will release the RPG Furai no Shiren 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle, in spring. Action titles include Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, March, with ability mixing, and the still tentative Conker's Quest, under development by Rare. Adventure titles include The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Gauntlet Legends, March, and Resident Evil 2, January, a port of the PlayStation version. Finally, Resident Evil 0, a new adventure game featuring Rebecca Chambers, is also planned. The preview also mentions 64DD software on another page. This N64 software catalog previews several upcoming games. Fishing game Super Black Bass 64, Starfish Summer 2000, War Simulation 64 Wars, Hudson Spring 2000, and the unreleased Flight Simulator video system. Nintendo's puzzle game Panel de Pon 64 is in development, with no release date. Ninja Boy Rantaro 64 Game Gallery, Culture Brain, April 2000, is based on an anime. First-person shooters Perfect Dark, Nintendo 2000, and Daikatana, Kemco, Spring 2000, are also showcased, alongside Viewpoint 2064, Sammy, Spring 2000, a 3D shooter. Sports games include Itoi Shigesato's Bass Fishing No. 1 Determined Edition, Nintendo, April 2000, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, Asmic Ace, January 28, 2000, Ultra Baseball Jitsume Edition 64, Culture Brain, no date, and Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 2000, Konami, March 23, 2000. This article previews upcoming N64 games and hardware. Excitebike 64 from Nintendo aims to be the first off-road bike racing game, planned for 2000. Kemco's Top Gear Rally 2 is slated for February 2000, with a focus on real-world rally cars and varied terrains. Top Gear Hyperbike, also from Kemco, is due in March 2000, offering both on- and off-road courses, though custom track creation requires an expansion pack. Wipeout 64 and Rev Limit are listed as release dates undecided. Animal Bancho, a unique title from Saru Brunei, promises a human/animal dynamic, and is set for 2000. Finally, Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, is expected by the end of the year, with new features like character transformations. The article also highlights various N64 console color variations. This page is advertising the Pocket Monsters Gold and Silver Strongest Scenario Clear Adventure Guidebook. It highlights special premium cases for the guidebook in blue, red, and green, with a strap included. The advert also mentions a strongest strategy map and Pokemon Gold and Silver character seals as bundled items. The price for the guidebook and included items is 1,480 yen. The games featured are Pocket Monsters Gold and Silver, known internationally as Pokemon Gold and Silver for the Game Boy Color. This page is a reader prize giveaway from 64Dream magazine. Up for grabs is a Midnight Blue Nintendo 64 console, a Game Boy Color console, and Space World 99 t-shirts. Also being given away is the Pocket Pikachu Color handheld device that interacts with Pokemon Gold and Silver, and copies of the Donkey Kong 64 and Mario Party 2 N64 games. There's also Custom Robo, a Japanly N64 title, and a 64Dream Lucky Bag of mystery items. From Hudson Soft, prizes include Robot Pawn Katsu 64, another Japanly N64 game, and Game Boy Color titles Robot Pawn, Bomberman Max, Mysterious Army, and Bomberman Max 2. Taito is offering Cute Pet Shop Story for Game Boy. Bandai is providing model kits of Char's Zaku coding version, Gundam EZ-8, and GM Sniper. Finally, 25 lucky readers can win a HoriPad Mini 64 controller. The 64Dream Enquête Reader Survey solicits feedback on the magazine's content, specifically the cover and articles. Readers select their favorite and least favorite articles from a list, Table 1, covering N64 games like Zelda, Majora's Mask, Resident Evil, and Pokemon. Table 2 lists upcoming or featured games, including Excitebike 64, Conker's Bad Fur Day, and a canceled Earthbound 64 version. The survey also covers New Year's spending, prize winners, and a column discussing the magazine's creation. Finally, it asks about desired Game Boy software and Game Boy Advance console colors. This page is an announcement for the April issue of the magazine, stating it will be released on February 21st. There's a comic strip section called Rokuyan Dream Diary, featuring Mario, a blooper, and Luigi. The next menu section previews content for the next issue, mentioning Bio, which likely refers to Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, and the N64 version of Silence, which could be a subtitle or game related to Resident Evil 2. There will also be an interview with Mr. Nakamura Koichi. In the Editor's Voice section, editors discuss the Zelda poster from the previous issue, New Year celebrations, and watching Teletubbies. One editor mentions playing Donkey Kong 64, and another talks about internet auctions. Another editor reflects on the millennium and discusses a game called Dosen. The page also includes staff credits, contact information for the editorial department, and details about the previous March issue of the magazine. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game Donkey Kong GB, featuring Dinky Kong and Dixie Kong. This action game for one player was scheduled for release on January 28, 2000, with a suggested price of 3,800 yen, excluding tax. A bonus feature is that the game included 2 special Donkey Kong cards. The page also mentions the Donkey Kong card game, which was already available, advertising starter and booster packs for purchase. This page is an advertisement for the Nintendo 64 game Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, Udu Keishu, which translates to Successor to the Throne. It is highlighted as the sequel to Virtual Pro Wrestling 64 and promises to be the definitive professional wrestling game. The game was scheduled for release on January 28, 2000, with a standard price of 6,980 yen. The advert emphasizes several features, including over 100 wrestlers, more than 1,000 moves, and an edit mode allowing players to create original wrestlers. It also mentions the ability to use weapons inside the ring. Screenshots showcase in-game wrestling action. The page also mentions legendary posters for Zelda and Smash Bros.